A few years ago, I used to make between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds for client coaching work from my YouTube channel. A channel that didn't even have very good videos. Poor lighting, poor sound, yet the videos were made from the heart and they worked. If you're somebody who wants to help others, perhaps you're a coach or a consultant, a therapist or a healer, and you're wondering whether YouTube could work for you, this video might surprise you. But before I tell you how that happened, I owe you a proper introduction. For those of you who are subscribed to this channel or who have come across this channel before, you will have noticed that I have never actually introduced myself. So here it is. My name is Evgenia Galinskaya, or you can call me Eve. I started this channel in the end of February this year as a kind of sandbox to test things out, to experiment, and not to worry about what people will think. Just a space for me to explore what my niche is and whether I even want to do this YouTube thing. I really didn't know what my niche is or should be. I even made a video about how difficult it is to have a niche in the very beginning of a YouTube channel, and you can watch that video. I will leave a link in the description. And then I disappeared for a bit, in fact for the whole of April. First I went to this farm in Devon and there was no signal on the farm. Then straight after I went to Russia to visit my mom. And in Russia most social media platforms are banned. And YouTube wasn't working on my laptop, so I kind of gave up on the idea of uploading videos while I was there. And unfortunately, while I was in Russia, I received quite a serious diagnosis and I had to take time to come to terms with it and to start the process of investigations and treatment. I hope to be able to share more about that trip at a later date, but what it really meant was that I needed some time to myself, to be honest with myself and to take stock and understand what's stopping me from showing up here. And one big thing came up, and that's my name. Evgenia Galinskaya sounds like a very complicated, difficult to pronounce name. Evgenia. And I was worried that it's hard to pronounce and it's not brandable. I even considered taking my partner's name because it's much shorter and catchy, but ChatGPT advised me against using my partner's name because it would create a lot of complication and confusion, because I actually have another YouTube channel where I am known as Dr. Evgenia Galinskaya or Dr. Eve, and therefore I thought, okay, fine, I'm going to be Eve for the purposes of this channel. Now, I've just mentioned that I have another YouTube channel. It is called Videognostics, but this is a relaunched name. Originally, that channel was called something else, and the first few videos, the first 10 videos, were specifically aimed at doctors and other healthcare professionals who were questioning their careers and thinking about alternatives. And given that I have a background as a career coach, amongst other things, like being a doctor in the past, I launched that channel in 2020 to provide support to those doctors who cannot work with me as coaching clients but still would like my help in thinking about alternative careers. Now that channel was dormant for a while, and I'll tell you more in a bit why. And most recently I relaunched that channel as Videognostics, and this is now to support doctors and dentists and other healthcare professionals in increasing their visibility and making an impact at scale. But back in 2020, it was a completely different story. During the pandemic, I was coaching doctors and other healthcare professionals who were lost, stuck, and burned out, and who were thinking about other options for their careers, whether they wanted to remain in clinical practice and just wanted to try something else on the side, or whether they wanted to completely leave medicine. And I kept hearing the same questions over and over again. And I thought, why don't I produce a few videos and create this sort of library so that people can still access that information, even if they cannot become my paid coaching clients. I didn't know anything about YouTube strategy. I didn't know anything about the algorithm or thumbnails, video titles, and I didn't even know that there was a channel analytics dashboard. All I wanted was to raise awareness that other options exist for healthcare professionals who are disillusioned. And those 10 simple, unpolished videos worked. People subscribed and left comments. People booked calls. And some of them even said, it really feels like you're talking directly to me. The feedback was incredible, and more people were reaching out to me, requesting consultations and coaching. So YouTube became my visibility and discoverability engine. It seemed like I was doing those videos completely intuitively without trying to please the algorithm. And I wasn't even consistent. I wasn't publishing every week. I wasn't promoting any of those videos. It was completely DIY and completely unexpected that the channel took off. What seems to have happened was I unintentionally nailed two very important things. I knew my specific audience, their pain points, their language, their emotions. And secondly, I had a specific message. So my channel was all about alternative careers or side hustles for doctors. And I think this is exactly what helped me cut through the noise and to help the channel grow and to be picked up by YouTube. There was a viral video, Why I Left Medicine, and you can watch it if you like. It's quite embarrassing to now look back at that really heavy makeup, but I really spoke from the heart in that video and really shared exactly what was going on in my head as I was thinking of leaving medicine.
And I said, can I do that? Is it really loud? So that was a big turning point for me.
So that seemed to have resonated with people, and I bet people who were not even doctors were watching that video. And this is probably another tip for you, that if you want to gain more views, you could allow yourself to be more vulnerable and talk about something that you went through that in the society is unthought of, such as leaving a highly reputable profession. Now, talking back about my coaching practice for doctors and healthcare professionals, some months I was able to generate between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds. Some of that was through conversations that came directly from my YouTube channel, from those unpolished videos. So no paid ads, no fancy tech. In fact, this was my initial setup. Just my phone positioned on a laptop holder, which itself was positioned on a drying rack. And I think looking back at those videos, I really was genuine and generous in sharing the information that many doctors found useful. So for a while during the pandemic, I was doing coaching pretty much full time. But then when things stabilized, I returned back to my full-time work and life happened. So I stopped producing videos. However, surprisingly, the channel growth continued. And the wildest thing is that even just with those 10 unpolished videos and no further uploads, the channel really continued to grow. And I continued to have inquiries from potential coaching clients who were asking me for consultations, mentoring, and coaching. That library of evergreen content that I put out without even planning anything, it continued to work on the background while I was already back in my full-time employment. At the time it was recruitment. And this really shows the power of evergreen content on YouTube, even if you create it unintentionally. But of course, it is better to create it intentionally and strategically. Now let's come back to this channel that you're currently watching. Yes, travel and a serious diagnosis really threw me off. But more than that, perfectionism, overanalyzing and overthinking. I kept questioning, what do I have to offer? Why would anybody want to continue watching what I'm putting out? And I kept questioning how I come across with two different channels and two different type of audiences. I also worried what would the people from the medical world would think when they find out that I have this channel. In all that noise, I stopped trusting the one thing that did work. Just showing up and being there for those who choose to watch this. So now I'm back. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Eve, and I've decided that I want to focus more on creating content for people who want to help others. It might be coaches, consultants, therapists, healers, anybody who has a service-based business. The exact job title doesn't matter. What matters to me is to support people who want to help others, who want to be seen, who want to share their message, who want to share their voice, talents and skills, but who may be at the moment undiscoverable and invisible, especially if you're somebody who feels that your song inside is still unsung. If you feel you have something that you want to share with the world, but you just don't know where to begin. So I've decided I'll be sharing my learnings, my lessons about visibility, searchability, and discoverability. Basically, how to share your voice, your message, your talents, your skills at scale, on your terms. Whether that's through YouTube or another platform, maybe public speaking. It might also be how to be discovered as a talent by recruiters or hiring managers. The theme of visibility and discoverability, that's what matters to me. If any of this resonates and you've been playing with an idea of starting a YouTube channel yourself, but you just don't know where to begin, I've decided to open up a few free Find Your YouTube Fit calls this month, without any agenda, without selling, just a no pressure conversation to see how you could use YouTube or perhaps LinkedIn. I'm quite experienced with LinkedIn, to share your voice, to share your message, and maybe even build a business from there. Now, when it comes to YouTube, I'm not claiming to be at the level of the guys at Think Media or Primal Video, the guys I genuinely respect and continue to learn from. But I have spent the past 5 years studying and living and breathing YouTube, almost obsessively, joining mentoring groups, investing in books, courses, lots of education that has cost me into the thousands of pounds by now. And while I'm still growing myself, while I'm still learning every day, I know I will be a few steps ahead of some people who may be a little bit behind, but just thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And I will be very happy to share the learnings I've had so far, and maybe you can learn from my mistakes I've made so far, so that you can skip the guesswork and build momentum faster. And that's why I've decided to open up a few of those free 40-minute conversation calls so that we can brainstorm this together. And you can find the link to that in the description. In the next video, I'm going to share with you the one skill that every coach, consultant, or another service-based business must have to make their business worthwhile. It's not what you think. A little hint for you: if you love helping but don't like selling, that video will be for you, and I will link it up either here or there when it's ready. In the meantime, please subscribe, and if you found this content useful, please comment and give me a like so that I can grow this channel to be able to help more people. Bye for now.